My wife was working late every Friday with her male coworker. Suspicious, I sent her a surprise delivery, a dozen red roses, with a card that said, "Hope your husband's not watching." When she got home that night, I simply asked, "So, did he like the flowers?" She dropped her keys as her face turned white. This still doesn't feel real, even as I write it. But I guess if there's any place to share something like this, it's here. I don't want sympathy. I don't want to be told I was dumb or naive. I just need to get this out, and maybe someone's been through something similar. I'm 38. My wife, let's call her Sarah, is 36. We've been together for over 10 years, married for 8. We have 2 kids, both in grade school. We live in Chicago, not far from Wrigleyville. Life hasn't always been perfect, but it felt stable, normal, real, or so I thought. Sarah works in marketing. She's always been ambitious, career-driven, but not in a bad way. A few months ago, she told me she was leading a new campaign for a big client. She said it was high pressure, tight deadlines, and she'd need to work late, especially on Fridays. At first, I believed her. Of course I did. I mean, why wouldn't I? The first Friday she stayed late, I didn't think much of it. She came home around midnight. Looked tired. Said they were finalizing client decks. Ate leftovers, kissed me goodnight, went to bed. Then it became every Friday. Like clockwork. She'd leave for work in the morning, give me a kiss, and then I wouldn't see her again until close to 12 or 1 a.m. Always the same excuses, last-minute changes, brainstorming meetings. You know how marketing is. But things started to feel off. Not just the late nights. She got weird about her phone. She started taking it everywhere, even to the bathroom. I'd ask her what she wanted for dinner, and she'd barely respond, like her mind was somewhere else. Sex basically disappeared. She was either too tired, not in the mood, or had a headache. Then came the night I decided to surprise her. It was around 7 p.m. on a Friday. I had just put the kids to bed early because they'd been cranky all day. I was scrolling Uber Eats when I saw an ad for her favorite Thai spot, Spoon Thai on Western Avenue. Something in me said, screw it. Let's do something spontaneous. I figured I'd drop off her favorite green curry, give her a kiss, tell her how proud I was of her. You know, be a supportive husband. I drove down to her office building in the Loop. Got there a little before 8:30 p.m. The building was mostly dark, but I could see some lights on the 6th floor, her floor. I took the elevator up, Thai food in hand, excited to surprise her. When I stepped out, the hallway was quiet. I walked past the reception area, turned the corner to where her team usually works, and then I heard it. Laughing. A man's voice. Then hers. I slowed down, heart in my throat. Their voices got louder. I crept closer, staying out of sight. That's when I saw them, Sarah and her coworker, Mark, sitting close together in the conference room. Dim lights, 2 wine glasses, a bottle of red, and her hand on his knee. I froze. Couldn't breathe. Just watched as she leaned into him, laughing like she hadn't laughed with me in months. Then she kissed him. A slow, soft kiss. Like it was normal. I turned around and walked back to the elevator like a ghost. I didn't even make a sound. Just left the food in the hallway. Drove home shaking. Sat in the car for half an hour before going inside. That night, I didn't say anything. She came home around midnight, like usual. Claimed she was exhausted. Gave me a quick peck. I just nodded. I didn't sleep a second. The next morning, I made a decision. I wanted to test her. Not blow up. Not scream. Just see what she'd do. So I ordered a dozen red roses. Had them sent to her office on the next Friday. The card said, "Hope your husband's not watching." That's all. I waited the whole day. When she got home that night, she looked off. Her face was pale. Her smile was tight. She walked in, set her bag down, and I asked, super calm, "So, did he like the flowers?" She froze. Literally. Key slipped right out of her hand and hit the floor. Then she looked at me like I had just pulled a knife. She didn't say anything. Just stared. I didn't push. I just went to the kitchen, poured myself a drink, and waited. She didn't come after me. She just stayed in the hallway, stunned. The next day, she tried to talk. Said I was misunderstanding everything. That they were just celebrating the project finishing. That the wine was from the client. That it wasn't like that. But I wasn't buying it. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked our phone records. She always had her own line, and I paid the bill. I just never looked at it. But that night, I went through the last month. Dozens of texts. Late night calls. Mostly on Fridays, but also Wednesdays and Saturdays. Always the same number. Marks. That's when I decided to go one step further. I hired a PI. I felt sick doing it, like I was betraying her. But part of me needed solid proof, not just my gut. I needed to know I wasn't crazy. Took a week. PI followed her the next Friday. She didn't go to work. She met Mark at a hotel in the West Loop. Photos of them checking in around 7:30 p.m., leaving the next morning around 10. There it was. Cold, hard proof. I confronted her the next night. Laid it all out. The flowers. The phone logs. The PI photos. She broke. Cried. Said she was sorry. Said she didn't mean for it to happen. That it just started, and she didn't know how to stop. She claimed she never stopped loving me, that she still wanted our family, that it was a mistake. But here's the thing, mistakes don't happen every Friday for 2 months. Mistakes don't involve hotel rooms. Mistakes don't have red wine and quiet conference rooms with kissing. And now I'm stuck. I haven't told the kids. I'm sleeping in the guest room. I haven't made any final decisions. Divorce is a word I never thought I'd say, but I keep seeing that kiss in my head, over and over. I don't even know what I want right now. I just feel numb, angry, humiliated. Has anyone else been here? What did you do? How do you move forward when the person you trusted the most turns out to be a stranger? I'm not looking for validation, just maybe some clarity. That night after I showed her the PI photos, we didn't talk much. She cried for hours. I didn't. I just sat on the couch staring at the wall like a statue. Inside, I felt like something in me had died. I couldn't even find the words to yell at her. The betrayal was too heavy, too sharp. I was just hollow. She kept repeating, I never meant to hurt you. But every time she said it, it made me want to scream. Because if you really don't want to hurt someone, you don't cheat. You don't lie for months. You don't share hotel rooms and wine and laughter with another man while your husband is home making dinner for your kids. The next morning, I woke up before her, packed a small bag, left her a note that said, I need time. The kids are with my sister. I didn't tell you everything, she said. It didn't start 2 months ago. It started last year. I felt like the floor vanished beneath me. What? She nodded slowly. Last spring. We kissed after a work event. It felt wrong, and I tried to shut it down, but it kept happening. It stopped for a few months, then started again this year. I wanted to throw something. Anything. I gripped the table so hard my knuckles turned white. So it wasn't a mistake, I said. It was a second relationship. She looked down. Didn't argue. Didn't deny. I asked the question I had been avoiding. Do you love him? She didn't answer right away. Then she said, I don't know. That destroyed me more than anything else. I left again. This time, I checked into a motel off Lakeshore Drive. I needed to be alone. No sister, no kids, no lies. Here's the twist I didn't expect, though. That weekend, I got a message on Facebook from someone I didn't know. His name was David, and he said, Hey, I think we need to talk. My wife has been sleeping with your wife. Her name is Claire. She works with Sarah and Mark. I stared at the message for a long time. Turns out, Mark was married too, to Claire. And Claire had started getting suspicious when Mark began coming home late and acting shady. She found emails, hidden photos. She confronted him, and he admitted it, but told her it was only once. Claire didn't believe him. She started digging. That's how she found out about Sarah and me. We talked on the phone that night, David and I. 2 complete strangers tied together by the same wreckage. That conversation changed everything. He told me Mark and Sarah had been sneaking around for over a year, sometimes at hotels, sometimes in parked cars, even once in the office bathroom during work hours. I felt like vomiting. He said Claire was filing for divorce, and he was thinking about it too. I couldn't even speak. The next day, I sat Sarah down and told her everything David had shared. She didn't even try to deny it. She just cried harder, said she was ashamed, said she was trapped in something that spiraled. I told her I needed space. Again, she agreed. We're now 1 week into living in the same house, but sleeping in different rooms. The kids don't know yet. I'm trying to keep life normal for them. But I can't look Sarah in the eye without thinking about Mark. About hotels. About those Friday nights where I'd waited up, wondering if she was safe, when really she was lying in another man's arms. Here's the thing I didn't expect. Part of me still wants to fight for this. I don't even know why. Maybe it's the kids. Maybe it's because I still love her. Or maybe I'm just terrified of starting over. At first, I thought it was fake. Or maybe Mark was trying to cover his own ass now that his wife Claire had blown everything up. But something about it felt real. And weird. Because Sarah had told me it started with a kiss at a work event last spring. But she never mentioned a trip to Milwaukee. I didn't bring it up right away. I sat with it for a few days, letting it rot in my stomach. Then one night while the kids were asleep and we were both up, drinking awkward cups of tea in silence, I asked her what happened in Milwaukee last April. Her face changed instantly, like someone unplugged the power in her body. Her jaw locked. Her eyes blinked a few times too fast. And then she just said, "You talked to him." I didn't answer. She put her mug down slowly and said, "It wasn't supposed to happen like that." What does that even mean? Turns out, her job had sent her to a small business convention in Milwaukee for a 2-day event. Her team was presenting, and Mark was there too. According to her, that's when things really started. She said she and Mark had been flirting for months by then, but Milwaukee was the first time they were alone outside of the city. No coworkers, no deadlines, no office doors. That night, after dinner and drinks at the hotel bar, they didn't go back to separate rooms. They booked a single room together, and from that night on, it wasn't just cheating. It was an actual affair. But here's where it gets worse. I asked, "Were you ever planning to tell me?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "We were going to end it. We even talked about cutting it off after the Milwaukee trip. But then, he said he wanted to leave Claire. And I thought about leaving you." That was the first time she said it. That she actually considered leaving me. That it wasn't just some stupid fling or temporary mistake. And then she said this: "I didn't go through with it because of the kids. And because, deep down, I didn't want to hurt you. But I was in too deep by then. I didn't know how to stop." That line broke me. "You need to know something," she said. "Mark says Sarah wasn't just one of his affairs. She was one of 3. Yeah, 3. Mark had a pattern, a routine. He'd get close to female co-workers, usually ones with marriage problems or who were feeling burned out. Then he'd play the understanding guy, the one who really listened. He did this with another woman from the office back in 2021, got caught, promised it would never happen again, and Claire forgave him. Until now. So now, I was sitting here realizing that my wife not only betrayed me, she fell for a guy who was cheating on his own wife with multiple other women. And she was one of them. And here's the twisted cherry on top. Claire told me that a few weeks before I sent those flowers to Sarah's office, Mark had already broken it off with her. That's why she was so tense. That's why she seemed distracted. She hadn't been sneaking around with him anymore, because he moved on to someone else in the office. So all those Fridays she kept saying she was working late? She was still pretending she was with him. But he wasn't even showing up. She was sitting alone, in that office, drinking, hoping he'd come back. Maybe messaging him. Maybe crying. Who knows? So while I thought she was cheating, and she was lying to me about it, she was also being ghosted by her affair partner. And she didn't want me to know that, either. So now I don't even know what I'm more mad about. That she cheated? That she fell for a serial cheater and almost left our family for him? Or that even after he dumped her, she still tried to hold on to the lie instead of coming clean? Right now, I'm living in this weird in-between space. Not divorced. Not together. Just broken. Waiting. Watching. And part of me is asking the question I never thought I'd ask. Did I ever really know the woman I married? 3 weeks after the truth about Milwaukee came out, I was still trying to keep things together on the outside. For the kids. I took them to school, helped with homework, played catch in the backyard, pretended like things were fine. But inside, I was unraveling. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat right. Every time I looked at Sarah, I saw her in that hotel. Saw her smiling at a man who used her, lied to her, and still, somehow, got away clean. I started snapping. Small things. A broken dishwasher. Missing socks. The sound of her phone buzzing made my blood boil. But I kept it together. Until the night of our daughter's school concert. She's 8. Smart. Sensitive. The kind of kid who can sense tension in the room even when no one says a word. She had a solo in the school choir. Sarah and I sat next to each other in the auditorium, pretending to be the perfect family. Parents we knew waved at us, smiled. One of them even said, "You guys are such a beautiful couple." I nearly choked. The concert ended. Our daughter did amazing. We clapped. We hugged her. Then one of the moms, a woman named Rachel, whose son is in the same class, came over and said, "Hey, weren't you the one who sent those roses to the office? That card was hilarious." I froze. Sarah froze. Rachel kept going, laughing. My husband told me about it. He works in HR. Said the receptionist was freaking out thinking it was a threat or something until someone saw it was just from you. Office gossip for days. That was it. Right there. In the middle of a crowded hallway, while our daughter was 5 feet away holding a cupcake, I lost it. I turned to Sarah and said, loud enough for Rachel and at least 3 other parents to hear, "You want to tell everyone why I sent those flowers? Or should I tell them you were screwing your coworker in hotel rooms while I was putting our kids to bed?" Silence. Rachel turned white. Parents stopped talking. Kids looked around confused. Sarah grabbed my arm, whispering, "Please, not here." "No," I snapped. "You didn't care about here when you were lying every Friday night. So don't ask for privacy now." She tried to pull me aside, but I stepped back. "Tell the truth, Sarah, or I will." She didn't say a word. I left. I walked out of that school with every eye burning a hole in my back. I could hear whispers. Could hear one of the teachers trying to calm our daughter down as she started crying. That was the moment. That was the breaking point. Later that night, I came home to find Sarah sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by tissues. She looked destroyed. I didn't say anything, just stood there. Then she finally broke. "I was lonely," she said. "You stopped looking at me like I mattered. You were always tired. Always busy with the kids." I felt invisible. And Mark made me feel seen. That set me off. "So your solution was to cheat? To lie? To destroy everything we built because you didn't feel seen?" She screamed back. "I tried talking to you. You brushed me off. You always said we'll talk later, or I'm too tired. You don't get to act like the victim when you weren't really here either." It was an explosion. Years of resentment, regret, and silence coming out all at once. And in the middle of it all, our son, he's 10, walked in. "Why are you yelling?" he asked. We both froze. He stood there in his pajamas, clutching his stuffed animal, looking like a scared little boy, which he was. Sarah broke down. I couldn't look at her. I took him back to his room, tucked him in, and whispered that everything would be okay, even though I didn't know if it would be. The next morning, I told Sarah I wanted a separation. She cried, begged, said we could try counseling, said we owed it to the kids. And part of me wanted to say yes, for the kids, for the history, for the family. But the truth was simple. I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't unhear it. I couldn't forget how she made me feel, like a placeholder, like a fool. I moved into a short-term rental the next week. My sister helped with the kids while we set up a schedule. Sarah and I agreed on joint custody, at least for now. The aftermath was brutal. Friends took sides. Some blamed me for airing it all in public. Others called her a snake. My parents didn't even know how to respond. Her mom tried to defend her, saying she was under a lot of stress. I told her to stop. Our daughter asked if we were getting divorced. I told her the truth. "I don't know yet, sweetie, but we're still your parents. That won't change." It's been 2 months now. Sarah and I talk, but only about the kids. We're civil. Cold, but civil. She's still trying to convince me to go to counseling. She says she's changed. That she regrets everything. That she was manipulated. But I don't know if I care anymore. Because here's what I realized. Trust is like glass. Once it's shattered, you can glue it back together. But it'll never be the same. You'll always see the cracks. Always feel the weakness. And I don't want to live a life full of cracks. So here I am. Alone. Starting over. Scared out of my mind. But honest. I learned that silence in a marriage is dangerous. That it's not always the big fights that break people. It's the slow fading of connection. And when someone feels invisible for too long, they go looking for light in dark places. But nothing justifies betrayal. Not being tired. Not being distant. Not feeling unseen. If you're unhappy, you talk. You fight. You scream. You don't lie. You don't cheat. You don't destroy. I'm not sure if I'll ever forgive her. I'm not sure if I'll love again. But I do know one thing. I deserve more than secrets. And maybe, just maybe, that's where healing begins.